Okay, and also he joined the company. Companies they don't teach them what your future goal. Okay, and never company say you should consider for future president. I've never heard about that.
No, no.
Right?
No, they probably, if you would say, I want to be a future president, a lot of people will question you, like, who the hell are you?
But
should be-
they just we need to give them the dream people.
Oh, but in Japan, it's considered to be a virtue to be modest. This one.
But this is not good. I think we need to give them the future goal. What you're going to be next 10 years? What's your target? This is going to be. If you're going to get a position, some manager or general manager, and then 10 years later, what kind of study you should study? What kind of career path you should take? But nobody's thinking about that. If you go overseas and like a Singapore president, what kind of education we should give him before going to Singapore? None of human resource management never consider for that.
Do they actually get education before they go to Singapore?
No, nothing. That's English.
Oh, yeah.
Just English training. And I try to provide kind of education system. They told me they are not interested in teaching their employees. But my feeling is very strange, and my always thinking is 10 years later, 5 years later, not tomorrow. Training and studying is 5-10 years later, everything, right? And it's only Japanese they don't think about that. How about all European people?
But there is.
Short-sighted?
Well, I think that, but there are. Okay, first and foremost, I think branding is very, very hard. So making a very long-term commitment is very, very hard, especially when things are not going so well with your organization. When you're not making your profit, then branding is very tough. But like if you're working for a company like Apple and Nike, it's kind of easy to do branding. Kind of easy, not really easy, but kind of easy, because you're making a good profit. Your product sells, you have a good reputation, so basically it's just amplifying what you're doing and who you are, and you have the money to do it. Now, if your company is in heavy weather, if it's not doing well, then sustaining your brand image and keep on investing in your image in the market is quite tough.
Is it quite tough?
Quite tough, yeah. Because it's difficult to convince people to, for example, to have a very expensive big event that is not supporting immediate sales but just build brand image, or to invest in a Olympic sponsorship, or to invest in a television commercial that amplifies who you are instead of what you have on sale right now. And a lot of people within the organization will question your investment decisions if they are not meeting their targets while the company is investing in amplifying their brand. So it is very fundamental, but branding is a lot easier for companies who are making a profit.
Really?
Yeah.
Takes time.
It takes time. So you will need to be consistent. You will need to make consistent profits. Otherwise, you
I
can't
agree
do it.
with you. And if they're going to building 5 years goal, 10 years goal, is including branding, it is a big profit they can expect. But any company never thinking about 5 years later, 10 years later, and only this year or next year.
Yeah. Or they can't afford to think 5-10 years. They feel, of course, you need to do it in order. You can't be just only focusing on 2-3 years ahead, because then there is a big chance that you will keep on doing that for the rest of as long as the company survives. So you need to kind of get yourself into a situation where you can sit down and say, okay, now I'm going to think about what's happening. You remember the speech from last week from Apple, from Steve Jobs. When he gave that speech, he started with this message. So Apple has been investing a lot of money in commercials. We are one of the top spenders in advertisement. You would never know it. So they have been running their business. They have been thinking very hard about how to make a better PC, what it needs to do in design, how they can build up their product, how they can support it with a good customer support organization, how to build their retail channel, etc., etc. Those are things that Apple was doing already. So they're already focusing on many different ways. And then they needed to step back. They spent, what they said, like 7 weeks. They really just stepped back and only took a helicopter view of the situation. Okay, where are we? And looked at themselves, and then they looked at the far future and where do we want to head. So you really need to be able to set yourself outside of the organization for 2 months, for 3 months. Have the leadership think about it. Think about the brand very thoroughly, and then make strategic decisions that, okay, so this is where we are going to go. And that means that we will focus on these kind of customers. We are not going to do anything else. This is how we're going to allocate our money, and this is how we're going to get there. And then follow through.
They did.
They did. Apple did. Apple did.
How many years ago?
I think
Steve Jobs era?
Steve Jobs era. Yeah, sure. Nothing changed, right? Really. I mean, the products are still the same. The marketing is still the same. I think that Apple did not grow any further since Steve Jobs.
It's usually difficult to do that.
It is difficult. It is difficult because a lot of people don't take the time to invest 2 months of their time and all of their resources to actually think about, okay, who are we, who do we want to be, and where does our company need to be in 10 years from now?
Yeah.
A lot of people feel that, okay, I can't afford that. I don't even know whether I will make my quarterly earnings this month, so they don't want to do that. But look how it paid out for Apple. And then that is the strategy. Then all of your time from that moment onward needs to be dedicated for the top leadership to actually make sure that your marketing, your sales strategy, your hiring, your investments, everything supports that direction, that 10-year plan. You need to educate your people. You need to invest in education of your people. You need to meticulously look at your marketing strategy, your pricing, your retail channel, how you're going to do things, how you're going to design things to support your long-term goal.
I think strategic planning is equal to branding.
Yes, it has everything to do with it.
Building company image.
Right. So branding should support your strategic planning. Or you basically, once you've decided on your brand, your strategic planning should support that brand. Because that brand is basically the same thing as that who you are and where you want to go. That means you need to understand who you are and who are you talking to, who are your customers.
It means almost all Japanese companies cannot make strategic planning. Huh?
It's difficult. I think it's very difficult. One problem being that not so many Japanese companies make big profits.
But this is not the reason the profit.
Well, yeah. I think that
my aspect is the company's leadership skill.
Yeah, I agree. Leaders are not being put there because they are leaders.
Like Uniqlo, they have Mr. Yanai, strong leadership.
Yes.
And also any other company, every like a branding, established branding companies, president is strong leadership. They consider for 10 years later, right?